Welcome to
The Ashley Show. Okay, today we will be learning about Thomas Malthus. He is the economist. He was born February 13th, 1766. He was a British scholar who studied the change in populations. He used figures on births, deaths, age of marriage, and economic factors contributing to longevity. He also studied the relationships between food supply and populations. Now to chart.
Okay, so Thomas Malthus, also known as Robert Malthus, based off his middle name, he wrote an essay about the principles of population and how the world itself focuses too much on population, and eventually we're going to have too many people and will cause a natural thing such as famine or disease is going to eliminate this population and limit it down to what it originally should be. But the problem with too many people is that the population hurts society's growth, and how too many people in the world will cause the economies to crash because it won't be able to supply to meet the demand. Thank you, Mr. Burrow, for teaching us.
And now a quote from Thomas Malthus. That the increase of population is necessarily limited by the means of subsistence. That population does invariably increase when the means of subsistence increase, and that the superior power of population is repressed, and the actual population kept equal to the means of subsistence by misery and vice. And this basically is saying what Trevor told us earlier, and that when the population reaches a certain point, disease and famine will hit, causing many deaths, just like this.
So Thomas Malthus actually had a lot to do with population. He was really worried that there was not going to be enough food to supply all the people that eventually would hit the world, and that people would die out and economies would crash. Just stuff like that would happen. So he actually had theories involved where he would say there's a population limit, and where, they have a marriage limit, like you can only be married by a certain age, or you can only have kids at a certain age, to help just keep balance as to what would happen as to how many people. He actually also decided that they should take some unused land and rent it all out to
Continue.
Rent it all out for farming to help increase food supplies for all the people involved. So he essentially wanted to keep people involved at a good population limit so that we didn't die out of our own faults.
And now some facts about Thomas Malthus's life. In 1804, he was married to Harriet. Malthus was also a founding member of the Political Economy Club in 1821. He was also one of the first fellows of the Statistical Society in 1834.
So Thomas Malthus was also against a lot of technology, such as the mechanical reaper or the cotton gin, stuff like that, simply because what it did was it took the food supply or anything grown and it didn't make it a real thing. It made it more so as a human-made resource, essentially saying crops won't be as good if they're picked by a reaper as opposed to made by hand. And it was the first time where people were really seeing non-human-made or human-grown, things happen in the world. And he was against all this, especially like fertilizers. He said, these are going to poison us. These are going to be our death, is this constant increase in technology. And he still may be right. His theory wasn't just for his time period, but he was saying technology will be the doom of us. However, in some ways he might be wrong, in the sense of that technology actually has boosted economies in tremendous ways that no one can really understand. But things are... What are you doing? So in conclusion, Thomas Malthus spent his career focusing on people's population and hoping that one day people would eventually understand what his belief that eventually there will be too many people and we need to find a way to supply food for all these people, or at least put a limit on population.
Thomas Malthus died on December 29th, 1834 at the age of 68.